Oh, good.
All right, it's 7. We'll call the meeting to order.
I didn't have a baby yet.
Stand for the pledge.
Yeah.
Oh, gosh.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Yeah, I'll tell you later.
All right.
All right, amendments to the agenda. Anything needed to be amended? No, sir, not for me tonight. Anybody else?
Nope.
Okay.
I have a quick amendment. On the last meeting, down in the dog park section where we discussed the dog park, my last name was misspelled.
Okay, yeah, we'll get that when we, yep.
That's the minutes.
Hold 1 second, we'll get to you.
Sorry.
Okay, so there's no amendments, so we don't need to approve. Approval of the minutes.
That one.
Okay, I'll get a motion to approve the minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of May 4th as written.
Okay, motion by Glenn, seconded by Rod. Any corrections needed?
Just my last name in the old business, when it says my last name, it's a T, it should be a C. Autocorrect kind of corrected you
Yeah.
correctly.
Got it. Okay,
Oh, Caesar.
right at the end, yeah.
I know better, Jonathan.
Autocorrect,
Spelled it many times.
autocorrect kills my name.
All right, other corrections needed? Actually, it's in the, it's under others present too, Claire.
Right.
Up on the front.
Well, the one online was accurate off the top. So
Yeah,
Yeah.
this one's good.
I don't know why.
All right, any other corrections? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
So it's page 2.
That motion carries.
I make the change quick.
Oh, all right.
Okay, public comment, 5 minutes for public comment. Yep, go ahead, John.
It kind of came to my attention that, or well, I'm aware that the town of Fairhaven doesn't have a police truck, like a 4x4 Chevy Silverado that's silver. I witnessed one pulled somebody over on North Main Street, had a fully concealed light package. I don't know who it is or what it was. I only saw the tailgate of it.
Yeah,
I don't know if it's a new undercover marked vehicle for us or if it's some citizen pretending to be.
I am not aware of one.
The only other thing, because I know we don't have one on the rosters, so it would lead it to be that it would be some individual rolling around or one of our active officers using an unauthorized vehicle to conduct authorized business, which is probably not a good idea.
Could be a constable
Could be a
too.
concept.
It's not Donnie Proctor and it's not John Galvin.
Oh,
Because Donnie Proctor has the Ram 1500 with the dark blue with the ghost badge, and Sean Galvin has his single day cab 1500,
Okay.
and it's neither of those.
have Joe look into it.
I can ask the police chief to see if there's somebody.
The only other time that I've seen a pickup truck pull somebody over was back in August 20th, 2019, was Chief William Humphreys using a Dodge Ram 1500 out here on North Main Street, or out on Washington Street. He had a plainclothes civilian female sitting in the passenger seat as well.
I'm not aware, John.
I understand, I'm just
It could have been
bringing
another.
it
Yep.
to your attention, but
Yep.
he explained to me that particular evening that was his West Paulette vehicle, because I guess the constable's over there.
Gotcha. Yep. No, town manager can check into it. It could be another law enforcement agency too as well, working in Fairhaven possibly. I don't know.
I figured
Yep.
it didn't, it seemed out of the
Yep.
norm.
All right. Okay. Thank you. Anything else, Jonathan, or you?
I'm all set, thank you.
Go ahead, John.
The sewer system at Green Mountain Mobile Manor, Mobile Home Park on Airport Road is now functioning properly. It's switched up to our system, courtesy of a local plumber.
Okay.
So we got one step done. There's 3 more.
All right. Anything else, Sean?
No, thank God.
Anybody else for public comment?
Okay. Department head reports. Aaron, do you want to start?
I can start.
Okay.
The highway end, Frazier's been out, once it finally lightened up on the rain. Turned up most of the bigger roads we've had. We've gotten to pass on all, I said, the bigger roads. Some of them are getting a bit dusty, so we're looking to try and get out there and do some dust control in places that will cause citizens to be upset. Highway end, they're still out hitting potholes as we can catch them, and we got that storm drift up here on Pelkey. We gotta finish that up, and then the next couple weeks we'll be getting the bench up in the park hopefully, and we'll be moving on to June, that first week of June, getting the water system flush. So, start water bubbling go off. Water-wise, Mike's here tonight as well. Everything at the plant's going pretty smoothly. Him and I have been alternating the weekend, so he can get some time off and feel rested as well. Everything there's going fairly smoothly. Ryan, the intern, started last week. Mike's been pretty thrilled with him. He seems very interested in it, to the point if he was going to hopefully pull out an application to apply for the full-time job itself. Down at wastewater, they're busy moving trailers in to get started on construction of the upgrade to the plant itself. Collection-wise, we've had a couple more blockages that we've had to take care of in the last 2 weeks. With that, we do have Green Mountain Pipeline coming in, hopefully in the next month, to rehab a couple of our manholes to alleviate some of these problem areas that we're well aware of and have not seen any kind of rehab work for ages. So hopefully we get those spots taken care of, and that'll take some of our hot spots off the list, and hopefully it's something we can continue over the next few years. You just keep going at these places we know are trouble spots and stop taking them out, because every time we have to have a jet truck come in, it's almost $1,000. It is $1,000. We try and maximize it by making sure we check all of our hot spots to, make sure we don't have another issue that's we just haven't been made aware of yet. So, but we're gonna keep trying to be proactive on all this stuff. So instead of spending money on fixing something, we spend money to prevent the problem. So other than that, I think that's all I have for the moment.
Any questions for Aaron?
Yeah, the 2 manholes, we can't do the work? What's going on with the manholes that we can't do it?
So the manhole, the rehab work that they're coming in to do is they're gonna be rebuilding the invert and outlets. So what they're gonna be doing is they have their equipment to go in there and be able to stuff a plug upstream, collect it, and run it back through the manhole without coming into the manhole. And then what they do is clean out the cavity or the bottom of the manhole itself and rebuild that tray with new cement, and then touch up the benches where it comes down, and if anything comes off the side of the manhole down and goes back into the channel itself. A lot of the manholes that we're having issues with, the channels are gone themselves. So if a jet truck comes to get into them, if they can't see where they're going and trying to get down into the pipe, they'll miss the pipe and they'll hit the bottom where the bottom of the pipe used to be, and they just go right down into the dirt. And we've had them bury the hose and the nozzle a couple times, and they don't like that. And they tell us that if they don't get it out, we're paying for the new hose, so we don't like that. A lot of that is confined space, and we're not trained for that, nor are we insured for that. So.
Other questions?
Cost.
We're doing 4 rehabs, with one of them getting an install of some of the toilet bowl. So what's going to do is there's one pipe that comes in from a side street, 4 feet off the bottom of the manhole. And what it is, it's going to be a big collector that collects that water, the waste coming out, domestic waste coming out of that pipe, and getting it down into the channel instead of just dumping in and splashing on top of the bench on the side of the manhole and getting caught up with toilet paper and stuff like that. And then possibly a large clump of something, and if it dislodges and doesn't have enough water to take it with it, it causes a blockage. So we're at $5,100, I think, for the 4 of them. So it's doing benches, inverts, as well as relining the core bells of the manholes themselves. So right up top, where the manhole shrinks up to come up to the cover itself, they're going to be putting a cementitious lining on that to support those bells. So that's where we have like the one on Union Street that collapsed, the bell is what collapsed, because we have the brick that's, you know, stacked up tighter and tighter over the top, and if it starts losing its grout and all that stuff, it isn't as, supportive, so.
And that, you've got that in your budget?
Yes.
All right. Anybody else? Thanks, Aaron. Going to the police?
Yeah, I'll do the
Yeah.
PD first. They're,
Okay.
we've been, it's been quiet. So the police department continues their foot patrols to help, kind of curb a little bit of vandalism we saw in the park. If you've seen the gazebo, we had some, volunteers decorate that for the upcoming holiday. They're also doing their highway stops, still trying to slow down our speeders around town. A lot on South Main. They're still handing out tickets. I get a ticket or two in my mailbox every week. They're really pushing Adam Street and the trailer park to clean up their junk. It looked like Adam Street did remove a little bit, but there's so much there that,
Very little.
yeah, it's hard to tell.
Just make sure we're not picking on certain people, that we're applying this evenly.
To everybody in town, yep. And so everybody in the police department, which is what they've been spending some extra time on, is trainings. The state is going to a different ticketing system, different online system. So everybody who writes tickets and has to input into the system, they have to take this, something like an 8-hour training, and then you go to the webinar and then watch that, so that way they know how to use it. So it's daunting. Oh, from my office, from my desk, like we talked about before the meeting, we've had a great bunch of volunteerism down at the baseball diamonds. I know a few people that I know were out there, and I know there were more than this. I know Mr. Adams, Mr. Freniers, Chris and Glenn were all down there helping rebuild the dugouts, rebuild the baseball diamonds, just clean up in general, and it looks great down there.
Luke Badness and Brad Pratt
There
did
you
a
go.
lot of work too.
Yep. The glass was installed in the restroom trailer, and last I heard, they were working on turning that water on. They did have a fitting break down in the turn on when they went to work on it, but that should be on this week, God willing. June 1st, Aaron said they're doing their hydrant flushing. Talk a little bit about
What flushing?
a hydrant,
Oh.
fire hydrant.
Are they gonna advertise that in the paper?
Yes. Couple of our projects are still moving forward, though some are still hung up with the state and feds. The lighting in the park is moving forward, and we will have another public hearing on June 1st to talk about the recommendations that Du Bois and King bring to the town and bring to the select board. Salt shed's moving forward. We have all our permits. I emailed the state looking to see where that's sitting. They are hopeful we can get that done this year for the upcoming winter. Oh, fish removal. This is an exciting one that everybody loves. I did talk to the biologist, and I talked to the state, to ANR, Agency of Natural Resources. And I think I let the board know, but that pond is not just a pond, it's a Class 2 wetland. Which, the way my luck has been lately, of course it's a Class 2 wetland. I did talk to Zapata in wetland though, and she gave us a permit to clean the fish out, clean the invasive fish out. There's a question of ownership of that pond. And I'm gonna meet with Miss Spalding tomorrow morning on my way in. But for the board, I would need to ask, because you did give clearance to remove the fish. If it turns out it's not our pond, does the board still want the fish removed?
I don't think it's our,
It's not, can we even,
That's what I'm gonna meet with
Can
Miss
we even,
Spalding in the
if it's
morning.
not ours, right, can we do anything with it if it's
I mean,
not
we could,
ours?
Well, I'm under the, under the impression that if a body of water drains more than 10 acres, it's state property. Doesn't matter whose land it's on. It's state controlled.
We,
I mean, I don't know about that rule,
I
but
would
this
say
is,
any body of water,
Well, I think there's a 10, if it drains 10 acres,
which isn't
the
hard.
state, no, so basically every body of water. Then the state said, that's why people get in trouble. They dabble with the pond and the state comes in, that's not your pond, it's our pond.
no, it's not state waters, yeah.
No, it is state
It is
waters.
state
It
waters.
is state waters.
This is not state waters, though.
Cemetery committee.
Okay, how do you know that?
Per Zapata.
The town of Fairhaven.
Per regulation, is it 10 acres or 20 acres?
Oh, I thought it was 10
Whatever
acres,
is.
it might be 20 acres.
It doesn't reach that threshold of state waters. It has to be navigable,
Oh, no.
No.
No,
navigable,
no.
20 acres, and there's 3 or 4 criteria.
No, the pond doesn't have to be that big. But if the body of water, it could be a swamp. If the swamp drains a certain number of acres, it's state controlled. Because the state doesn't want people just mucking up their waterways and,
Sure.
you know, possibly damaging the natural resource of, you know,
Sure, this body of water is a privately owned body of water.
Okay.
Per the state.
I wonder if they did something to that body of water, the state would say differently.
I don't know.
They changed-
Either way, if it's privately
Yeah,
owned, I wouldn't
right.
think we could
Do anything with it.
do
Right.
anything with it.
Well, because otherwise we may have to put them back.
Right, no, I love those fish, yeah, put those fish back.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, okay.
Glenn? Yeah.
Well, no, I hear what you're asking. You're saying you know for a fact we don't own that pond.
That's
If
not-
the answer is you know for a fact we don't own that pond, then my advice is don't do anything.
Right.
But first of all, I would say,
Make
let's
sure.
make sure, I've seen things that I thought we owned that we didn't own before. Let's make sure who owns the pond.
Yeah.
I mean, that's my only comment.
Why did we assume it was our pond? Because it was
Yeah.
next to the cemetery?
It was all,
Oh, here, I have a great picture.
Because everyone's told us that.
yeah.
Right,
Well, we also thought we owned,
Yeah.
down behind the school.
So,
Yeah. Sure.
if,
Should have
so
learned that, I
I'm
guess.
not on that one.
this is the cemetery,
You gotta hold it higher, Joe.
oh, I'm sorry, the yellow is the cemetery,
Yeah.
that's the pond. And then you can't see it unless you take a good look, but there's a
That's the
straight
map.
line that cuts straight across, and then it goes whoop around the pond. So if the town thought they had a straight line, you know, on their boundary, that's not how it goes. There's
So we do all the mowing and stuff down there, right?
It's just the water, it looks like, if you look in the zoomed
Yeah.
version of it.
Oh,
It's to be
and then
just the pond.
I think the state email is attached to that too, saying that it's a class 2.
what's this map from?
That's
The
the
town mapping.
Yeah, that's the GIS map.
So it looks like some house, and who owns the land, the darker green?
That's Miss Spalding.
Okay.
And do
So it looks like a specific effort was made to keep the pond out of town,
not in town property.
Yeah, it seemed like somebody said, no, I still want the pond.
right?
Yeah.
so is that in a deed somewhere? I mean, I think we could confirm it pretty easily.
I pulled the deed and they say there's iron pins, but without going out and finding them.
Yeah.
And there's no telling when and if they're still there. I did look for
According to
I did
this.
look for a survey, I couldn't.
Oh, sorry.
I couldn't
You wanna
find
see
one.
it?
But if you go and,
Parents are buried.
if you go and talk to the person who owns
See
the
those
pond
fish?
and let them know that they have a
Millions of them.
problem, and they tell you, well, wait a minute, that's a pretty expensive endeavor to take
Would have
over
never
there.
imagined.
Town, you can have the pond and the problem. Our answer is going to be, no, we don't want the pond.
We don't want that. That's why I'm asking.
You know, but I don't wanna make an assumption
Well,
because.
didn't we make that decision because we were worried about a bigger problem with the fish leaking into the Pulteney River and Lake Champlain and,
Yes.
Right, but we also
But-
thought it was our pond, because
I
it was right
know,
there
but-
next to the cemetery.
I guess, you know, once you talk with her, we'll
We'll
see
get
what she
more
You guys
says.
talk
Yeah.
to her.
Okay, you want me to just
Yeah.
hold off until
Yeah.
I talk to the owner?
Good.
Yeah,
Hopefully
this is
there's-
one of those things. There's like 3 things that popped up this year. It's like the pond, Lewis Lane, and Munger Road. Just things you thought were facts are just not.
Hopefully it's just the pond that's on that
Yeah.
property.
Yeah.
That's true.
Anything else?
Oh, yeah, no,
Joe,
we're still
you're
going.
still going? We're in out of room
Consolidated Communications, for those who don't know and haven't heard, Consolidated will be running 27 miles of fiber in Fairhaven starting in July. They're connecting almost every home to fiber optic cable, so that's really gonna speed up our internet system.
Almost.
Except for you two.
They're gonna do
Yeah,
the
right.
existing fiber that they all have,
Yeah.
already have strung that isn't connected?
I don't know, but I can blast you an email. I do think that was part of it, but don't quote me on it. Because I've been trying to get that guy to connect that for a few months. I did sign the solar contract, and that is with MHG Solar. Aaron and I and Bud Bowen met their local representative on site last Thursday I think it was, and walked the grounds. They have a little bit of concern about the wetland that's like right in the, wetlands, right in the middle of the transfer station, but they're gonna bring back, instead of just a one big circle of solar, they're gonna see if they can't,
Work around it?
yeah, work around it and make kind of a offset polygon kind of thing. So we're still waiting to hear from them on that. Wine and bourbon tasting was set for October 15th, and we have our volunteers making calls now. Mailings are going out to producers.
October 15?
Yes, ma'am. Mailings are going out to the producers tomorrow morning. And back to the state, so V-Trans is replacing a culvert in Sudbury on Route 30. They're gonna push traffic down 73. Is that the
That's
one that cuts
the
across? They originally had traffic going down 4th Street. So we called them and told them, look, you can't send them down 4th Street. So then they routed all the traffic past Town Hall. So I called them again and said, look, the highway's right there, can't you just jump the highway over to 30? And they said no. I don't know why, but I tried to get them to change the detour, but they're being obstinate about it.
They're replacing a what?
A culvert. 2 culverts.
How long is that? I mean, is it just a day or
30 days.
30 days?
It's a month of
I
detour.
thought I saw the sign down there.
Holy cow.
So,
Must be a big culvert.
because these guys are detouring down 4th Street as well
For the paving.
for the paving on the on-ramps, which I thought was interesting that they run them not down 4 and then around.
Yeah, I don't know why. You think that would be the obvious, because there's north and south entrances on
Well, I think
both major.
Easy. It's very easy to just turn them and be done.
Yeah. So.
Hmm.
Okay, still going. I did talk to Rachel from Scotch Hill Brewing. Rachel. She had brought up about the no smoking in front of the building. We did look at the ordinances, so the town has 2 ordinances that talks about smoking. There's a park ordinance that restricts smoking in the parks, all the parks, the green, the playground, Academy Street. And then the town has an ordinance for no smoking in the building, equipment, that kind of thing. There's nothing that legislates against smoking on the sidewalk or in private property. I did talk to VLCT, and they provided me with some information from Burlington, Burlington does restrict smoking on Church Street, so it is legal to do that. If the board is interested, I can move forward and try to take their policy and develop something for the town, so for no smoking downtown Fairhaven.
Is it a policy or an ordinance?
Ordinance, excuse me. Is that something that I should spend my time on?
That would all go through a public hearing. Do you want to do the public hearing first? And just see what?
As long as you can count that
No,
public
no.
hearing towards the ordinance.
I don't even mind if you can't count it. It's just to get a read on, is this a half and half? Is it a landslide one way or the other? or is it just one or two people that? I think we're a board of non-smokers, so we probably don't think much of it, but. As a, you know, I'm not a smoker, but I would imagine that if you're in one of those apartments, it's gonna be a big deal to you.
All right, I'll-
Yeah, I'm just,
I'd give them a
Where-
voice.
where
I'd give
we
them a
are
voice,
in-
that's
in
what I'm
this-
saying.
right, in this day and time, we need to hear from people, but I know where I would stand is,
No.
they have a very good point, and there should be no smoking. Now, from there, the real discussion comes around, do we identify and supply a place where smokers can smoke, because they can't smoke upstairs, we say they can't smoke in the front of the buildings.
Yep.
Where can they do that? And I think that's important, that we listen and try to see if we can get a way to.
That'll be probably worse than the dog park
Oh,
identification.
I think it'll be,
Yeah, I would agree.
Yeah.
And it's a large issue, so to write it all before you actually get some input is gonna be a tough thing.
when I look at our smoking and tobacco policy, and we make it very clear, 30 feet away from our town office and our buildings, I feel a little hypocritical if I tell a business owner they shouldn't be 30 feet away from theirs as well. We're different.
Yeah.
If you have ever had reason to walk out of the wooden cylinder when there's 4 or 5 people standing around the veranda there smoking, you'll know what we're talking about.
I know what they're talking about, I just feel like
It's
the
not
other
right.
people should be represented
They
as well.
shouldn't be smoking there.
And I know it's a very volatile thing. Being an ex-smoker, I get it, nothing worse than an ex-smoker.
I'm a
But,
current smoker and I'm sitting there
But I
going,
still, but I understand, and I'm saying for us to, we need to work this issue, and it's more than, it's more than the issue downtown. We need to get some better clarification when we put on 2019, the no smoking in the park that we choose not to enforce.
Hmm.
And I don't blame the smokers, because we don't have a single sign that says no smoking. That's another thing while we're talking about this whole thing, I think we need to get it on the docket. I know that we consciously said don't put signs in there, but I don't know how you can enforce something that you don't, people from out of town don't even know it's no smoking.
The way I understood the no smoking in the park was pretty much as a current smoker now and a continuing smoker is that just kind of be respectful towards the Thursday night, Friday, or concerts in the park, just step outside, and that's kind of the way it's been unwritten kind of deal. And that's my interpretation of it.
And the 2019 ordinance change that we did even shows a map. And that means no smoking, not just inside the fences, but no smoking even along the streets outside down there. That's what the ordinance
I
says.
pushed it further.
I'm just saying, if we have an ordinance and we don't wanna enforce it, change the ordinance.
Yeah.
But otherwise, we need to live to our ordinance. That's,
Because that would be my question too. Is it just an isolated area? I mean, John mentioned the wooden soldier, but is in front of this particular building in one area? Can we just work with those folks and come up with a solution instead of enforcing on the whole area when there's not necessarily an issue?
Sure, I could reach out in that direction too.
it's,
Would you rather do that, would you rather do that?
Ban came out, there was signage put up on every store's door, no smoking.
When was that, John?
Door and,
Say that again, I didn't hear you.
sign went on the door, there was one on this building. No smoking within 25 feet of the door or in the building.
yeah, and I again think it's not just wooden soldier. We had Rachel from where the brewery is going in. We heard complaints of the people in the apartments that are above where the new insurance company's in. I believe you'll have people with Tomases just around the corner. You stop everything right there, and everyone standing outside Tomase's bar smoking.
But they don't do that.
But what happens when the brew pub opens and you've got people standing out front smoking there? Now you run into a double hypocrisy. You tell your people that, you tell the tenants that they can't smoke, but the customers can. I'm not trying to be adversarial, but that's,
No, I.
you got
I understand.
alcohol, cigarettes go next. There've been millions of country songs written about it.
I understand what you're saying. That's why I'm saying it's either smoking or no smoking for anyone anywhere downtown, which is not that far out of the realm of what's happening today. But, you know, do I think it'll be a very emotional?
So can you play it that way, Joe? So we can get that initial public hearing or whatever you wanna call it, like, to get the, you know, Academy Street folks here, to get the, you know, to kinda get that flavor with the dog park, how we, you know, we put an idea out and
Let's hear what they have to
we
say.
had feedback.
Sure.
You put it out and get feedback. I don't wanna,
Exactly.
I don't wanna jump at it, personally, I don't wanna jump at it
Mhm.
if it's not necessarily
Agreed.
a huge issue. It is an issue, but I'm wondering if we can work to resolve those.
And between now and the next meeting, I could talk with some of the building owners just to see if we can fix it without having to legislate it, which
Right.
would be an ideal way to handle it.
Have
So-
a designated smoking area.
Yeah, you want me to do that and then come back with a response at the next meeting?
Yeah.
It might save us time.
Not in a big rush to start a huge grass
Right.
fire right now.
Okay.
No,
Pretty dry out.
Yeah.
pretty dry.
It'd be pretty easy.
Okay. And last thing, this is on the docket, I think for the next meeting, if I can pull it together. Scott Chill is requesting outside seating, downtown Fairhaven in the no parking zone right there in the crux of the, L shape.
Yeah,
You know what
in
I'm
front
talking
of-
about?
Yeah, that little
Yeah.
pie
Yeah, that
shape.
little V, yes. So they sent a letter, and I've talked to VLCT, and it requires the board's approval on the contract, as well as some state regulations, so. Since we were talking Scotch Hill, I figured I'd bring that up tonight.
Yeah.
And two more things, almost done. Apple Fest has requested September 18th. The school has requested September 18th to hold the Apple Fest. If that's okay with the board. And,
I don't see any objection, no?
okay, I'll let them know. And, last thing, I have received a couple of complaints about the camper on Washington Street.
Mhm.
Just a couple.
Just a couple. The chief and I have been, picking away at this this is the second year for me. Where it is parked now, the camper is not breaking any laws. He's licensed. We do have a zoning ordinance that talks about living in travel trailers on private land
For up to 21 days.
for up to 21 days.
Mhm.
The zoning ordinance, the way I read it, it was enacted to prevent somebody from buying a building lot and then parking their travel trailer on there. You know what I mean? And then just living there forever without having to build or use a septic system. So it's, the chief and I both, we've kicked it around and rolled it around, but we don't see a law that's being broken that we can enforce. If we do say 21 days living there, then we have to prove that he's been living in that location for 21 days, which means the truck couldn't have moved. So he moves up, 21 days starts. He moves up, 21 days starts.
There is one other reason we could have you move it. If you give them a toilet facility behind the garage, that would constitute a health problem.
But the zoning is specific to private land. He's not on private land, it's on public right of way.
He's in public right of way.
And,
He's technically in our town, he's right away, isn't
yes, well, is it, yeah, that's town.
That's his old
he?
town.
You do a measurement from the center, I bet you're in our town right away.
Oh, yeah, I mean, he's definitely in the road right of way. He's,
So I do have I searched state laws, and there was vagrancy laws that were rescinded back in 2017. So those are not applicable. I asked VLCT for information on it. If there's anything that can be done, we're waiting to hear back.
Has anybody talked to him?
The police chief, I don't know about this year, but last year the chief has talked to him several times. I've never knocked on his trailer, no, or his camper, no.
He doesn't, he's
He
parked
actually
right in
live
front
in?
of private property. but he doesn't bother those folks, or?
I've
Is there
seen
something
him
there?
talking with them. I was under the impression that he knew them, but
Yeah, I think
He's
so.
friends with the gentleman he parks in,
That he
whoever the
parks-
person is,
that he
yeah.
parks in front of. We also, I did a little research, and the state statute says we as a select board can put an ordinance on our, if we want to, that this is the same RV that comes back every summer since I've been here, and either parks in the no parking, in the park and ride, and then we scoot him out of there, and last year he went up on Washington, and after quite a while, finally moved it off Washington and put it out beside the building on the side. And I'm just saying, if it's one that we want a RV to come for the summer every year, okay, but I'm not saying that we need to write an ordinance. Sooner we go and talk and say, not only from the health standpoint, but it's parked right where you're coming out of Side Street right there, and it blocks, it's a safety issue. And that's just right.
All right, so Joe's gonna keep working on that one,
I'll go knock on the camper.
if it really is an issue, I don't know. I mean, defining issue as legal or not.
Yes.
sounds like we'd have to make a law
And if it's
to,
a
to have them break it.
Yeah.
and if it's a health hazard, that's not us, right? That's
John.
John.
Yeah, he's listening over there, kinda. He's not listening.
He's praying, I think.
All right, so you and John are gonna work on that.
Me and John. Oh, and last thing, I'm sorry, we talked briefly before the meeting, I know, sorry. Mechanic Street and Fourth Street, that property on the corner, I have received, and I think others have as well, complaints about some, I think possibly rats and skunks. I did email the, potential owner again, and I've talked to him. At this point, we've been blown off so many times, we're gonna move to some kind of legal remedy. I don't know what that looks like, cause health issues are sticky. We can't just go onto the property and clean it up, so.
I can't go on there, put poison on there or anything else.
Yeah, so we'll figure it out. I was hoping to be resolved by the sale of the property, but it didn't happen. So, they're still working it, it's taking a long time.
Still in probate, it
Still-
hasn't changed.
They're still in probate.
Okay.
I'm done, I swear.
All right, any questions for Joe? Or the police chief? No, okay. Old business. Joe was working on the town accountant job description, and I believe he's brought it back.
Yep, so I took and made the edits that the board had recommended last time. We had a small blip with version control. There was a version, the newest version in the electronic files, an older version in the actual personnel file. They were very, very close, so I just kind of mushed those together, and that is what you have in your packet. I marked the position change. I changed that name to be more in line with what the job actually is, and then added a few lines.
Okay, questions on that?
So I think we talked about this before, but having comp time when you're in a salaried position? Yes. I think that's unusual, but.
That comp time was in the job description that another board had approved years ago when the position came out of the union.
Mhm.
So that's kind of what the agreement was.
Is the agreement with the position or with the person?
that can be changed if the person leaves, yes, it's the person.
There was one thing in looking at this, because I asked the question, I said, so what does our current contract with this person look like? Said, well, we don't have a contract with
Right.
this person. And I'm saying, okay, and once I got past, all right, so this is their job, and it basically, that's why you have some, they're gonna receive the benefits on the line negotiated with the union. That's why that's there. Or I don't. But, I think it looks good. And Jenny looked at it and she says, yeah, that's what I do.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, I would always want to check and say, well, the person in the job and say, yeah, this is what I do.
Does this position really provide technical support for software, hardware, and computer networking systems?
She works with the server. Yeah, if the server goes down or needs backing up, Jenny will actually go and do that.
Okay, that's what Jen does. Is that really, I mean, is that really the position of an accountant / human resources?
I agree with you, but it's what she does currently, so I didn't want to take that duty away from her and then be kind of stuck with no one to do it.
Because I gotta believe that if you have someone, you know, the day that comes that Jenny is gone and you're interviewing this, they're gonna look at that like, I can be the tech guy too?
Yeah.
I'd have a problem with that, but.
Other questions?
No. Are you looking for a motion to accept the description, or are we good? I know we had some discussion in the last meeting,
No, we
just
just,
the salary position wanting to.
Yeah, last time the board just said, yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
So if you
So
guys
it's
think it's
good?
fine, it's good.
We're good.
My only comment is this, if someone does transition to this position from the current, is to look at it again
look at it again, yeah.
and revisit benefits and
Yeah,
overtime.
the benefits, I wish I would have thought about it beforehand. The town uses an employee add and change pay form. That's where that should go. There's special, special box saying this is the benefits, this is your pay, that's where all that information should be. But here we are.
Okay.
So you're gonna fix that on the new one?
Yes.
Perfect.
Yeah, there will be changes when the new person comes on.
I would think we've gotta allow flex time rather than comp time. You know, if there is something that's going on, and Jen does this now, she shifts her hours to accommodate her as well as, like if she's going on vacation or something like that, she shifts her hours to get things done before she leaves or something like that. That's not really a comp time, but it's flex hours. And to many people, that is a benefit.
All right, Joe, you good with that?
Yes, got it.
Your
Thank you,
feedback?
sir.
New business, zoning board of adjustment appointment. Now, what's the current makeup of the zoning board, numbers wise, and?
Oh, man.
I went on the website and saw that currently it shows Cindy Adams, John Lulak, Kevin Durkee, and Bonnie Rosati, with a vacancy.
Yep.
And, with Patrick Fraser's name as an alternate. Is that?
Yeah, that's great. I didn't bring the names, but yes,
That's
we had one vacancy and Patrick was the alternate. And we did advertise for this position. The vacancy, starting way back in March, didn't get any takers. When Patrick heard that there was that vacancy, he asked to be appointed.
So it's a 5-person
It gives them
board.
5, it gives them an odd.
Yeah.
I don't know.
5, and I think there's 2 alternates.
So you're looking for a motion?
I would need a motion on this one.
I'll make a motion to appoint Patrick Fraser as a full-time member of the zoning board of adjustment for a 3-year term.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Motion by Glenn, seconded by Rod, to appoint Patrick Fraser to the zoning board as a full member. Questions, comments? No? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, that motion carries. Equipment purchase.
So there was a list of purchases, but for DPW, but we pared it down to two things that we felt were vital for the operation. And Aaron can speak more to the use, but one is the cemetery mower, and the second is the mulch head for the excavator.
Aaron, do you want to review your request?
I don't know, I gave Joe a breakdown of the cemetery mower. So we're looking to get a new zero turn for down at the Cedar Grove Cemetery, West Street Cemetery, wherever it ends up Cedar Grove as its home. The best way to describe it, the machine that we've had down there since 2000 or 2001 has done a phenomenal job. It's a 36-inch mowing deck, zero turn, and it can maneuver around those stones fabulously. And years since that, we've been using riding mowers as the alternative piece for the second operator, the second person down there, and or third person that's down there. And what we keep seeing is that those riding mowers do not last. We've replaced upwards of three that we can confirm that we've bought over the last 10 years as compared to that one zero turn. We're looking to purchase another zero turn for down there to not only make the guys way more efficient down there, but also get rid of these headaches of those riding mowers that are constantly needing attention and or being replaced. The money that we're looking there is out of the budget. The cemetery had some money left from this year, so we're trying to use that money to forward our cause to make ourselves even more efficient down there and then get more stuff accomplished with better equipment. We did receive the two prices, one from Young Farm Equipment for Liberty Z 36-inch mowing deck. Salem Farm Supply has a Kubota model, which is almost similar, except for it's a 42-inch mowing deck. That Kubota is a little bit cheaper, but we're just so happy with the 36-inch deck that fits in tighter spots than the 42, of course, is going to. And with it being local and us knowing how well this scale, all of the scales we've had in our fleet, we'd rather have that be our recommended purchase due to the fact that we know what the quality of the machine that we're getting with it.
Okay, questions on that particular, I guess we can take them one at a time if you want, if that's.
And I think you covered it, but just want to make sure it's in your budget. So you're not asking for new money, this is money that we planned in the budget and you're just spending the money, okay? And you're recommending the SCAG,
Yes, sir.
okay.
So what didn't get done in the budget that we have this money left over?
Half of
What,
it's,
yeah, what didn't get,
so the bigger part of it is salaries. We didn't end up getting all of our help last year, and I believe there was a reflection of that with the complaints that we had of how the cemetery looked over the year. So we're looking to utilize that money to make sure that we cut that problem out, and we do not have complaints by having proper equipment, proper manpower here on out.
Is the you don't have a trade, right? You're not selling one. No.
Not at this point, no.
and the 42 will not work?
The 42 will work, but the 36 is the better bang for the buck for us. Because it will fit where we need it to fit, and we have one that's been proven for 10 and 11 years now.
And Kubota doesn't have a 36.
No.
Okay.
Is that Kubota diesel or gas?
They're both gas, yeah. Both Kawasaki gas motors.
Alright. Other questions?
Do you want to hold off a little longer to get to the end of the budget season, a little closer to the end?
We've run the numbers and run the numbers, we're looking like it's gonna be good to go. We don't have anything coming up down there that should bother that at all.
there's only 6 weeks left in the budget as well. So anything that is purchased has to be here before July 1, otherwise it flips over to the new budget.
Well,
No, you
you
can
can
order
order
it.
it.
You can order it. Sure you
On
can.
something like this, you can,
No.
I think, place the order.
We've been through this for years.
No,
The
According to the ordinance.
Not
it's
according-
Gotta be here.
Gotta be on site.
You have to take possession of it, and the auditor has beat that into me for the last 3 years.
Jay
If
and
I order
I,
it July 1 and it doesn't show up till July 1 next year, sorry, buddy.
Jay and I agree on that.
That's how we used to operate too. Things have changed.
I just remember last year, we got a lot of complaints about mowing in the cemetery not getting done. If this is what you need to get between the stones and not knock stones over with 36-inch air, and we,
But you,
Don't have- and we
the
don't
42
have-
will also work.
yeah, well, if they're telling me they can get around the stones better and not cause damage and everything, but I'm looking and saying, if this means I don't get phone calls saying that the cemetery's not getting mowed, and you've got the money and it's in your budget,
I have no big problem. I just wanted to make sure there wasn't like a tree coming or something that like a tree to take down or something that we hadn't thought of.
There is a
Fish
small
pond.
right. Yeah, fish pond is us. That should be cheap.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just all labor and a couple bottles of Clorox.
Famous last words, should be.
Yeah, he recorded it.
Yeah,
so we're
it's
good.
on tape.
I'll make a motion to authorize the purchase of the what is it? Skag Liberty Z 36-inch from Young's, not to exceed $4,500.
second it.
Motion by Jeff, seconded by Glenn, to authorize the purchase of the Skag mower for $4,500.
With the caveat that I would like to see things like this in the capital budget in the future.
If we have
What?
one. If we have a budget.
Oh, we have a capital budget.
We do.
Yep.
Yeah. I guess I'd like to see some evidence of planning for things like this. More long term than we had some money left over and we're gonna make a $5,000 purchase. I find it very frustrating, and I voiced it several times. And that department head over there does a great job doing this. So
Yeah.
could learn from him.
All right, anything else? Okay, all in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
Okay, motion carries with Rod.
And he's not a department head anymore, sorry.
Next.
He can still be a department head. Okay, so that motion carries, and then, Aaron, you wanna talk about the mulcher head?
Mulcher head is a tool to add to the excavator's repertoire of toolage, get more work done. So what it's gonna be, it's a reciprocating head that's mounted on the end of the stick that we can use on roadside brush cutting. So what it'll be is instead of the guys out there with pole saws, chainsaws, the chipper, thank you, chipper. This machine, that head could be mounted on the excavator dropped off, and one operator and one safety guy making sure there's no cars coming through and stuff haywire. Could be mowing down roadside brush on days that's not nice, on days that it just has to get done. Making it way more efficient and safer for our guys, of course. Again, this head is capable of cutting or mulching upwards of 4-inch round trees. So it can take the tree and just mulch it up and leave it all scattered on the ditch side instead of us either blowing it into the woods, which some people don't prefer, and or trying to blow it in the truck, which gets it on the road, and we still have to haul that stuff away. Like I said, this just adds to that repertoire of that excavator being more and more useful in showing production and getting stuff done. The head itself, the one that I've recommended comes from New Hampshire, so it's local. Poultney, Vermont, the town down there, they have one. Very happy with it. Was I can go set that excavator right out there and just go right down the roadside cutting back brush as far as right of way allows, so that we're not back there every other few weeks or days cutting back more and more branches that have popped up. This, as well as from a nice winter and the savings realized from a nice winter and some hard management on the highway department to make sure that we weren't overspent on our budget come end of the year. So we have this inside of the budget yet that we'd be able to make this purchase. The other factor, the three that you see there, that Valley tool, the FX26 Defender, comes out of California. So to me, that's just a long ways away to ask for parts because we're pieces. That's what we seem to be. Like Joe mentioned, the water line issue. I could have told you it would have been back together today, except for we can't get parts for it. We're working around that, but that's the thing that is always hindering us from progress. And I would like to see, that if we're going to purchase a mulcher head, it'd be that local piece, so parts or something are closer. I'm not sure much more I can.
Which one is your recommendation here?
The, from Champlain Valley, putting the Brown Forestry Raptor 30H.
Gotcha, okay.
That model is, I believe, put in modular in construction. So if we change excavators at some point, or something else comes along that we have to do, that the thing is easily adaptable over to a new piece of equipment of some sort.
So the difference between the 30, I don't know one from the other, but the difference between the 30H and the FX26, that both come from Champlain Valley, and you're saving not quite $1,000. Why doesn't the FX26, is it just because of the lead time, or tell me why that doesn't?
Lead time and for California. So that Valley Tool company that builds that are out of California. The Brown Forestry is out of out of New Hampshire. It's in Ware, New Hampshire, so we're 3 hours away from where they actually manufacture it and have parts and pieces on stock. Versus Champlain Valley and Salem Farm Supply both. When I called them and said, "Hey, you're a dealer for this, can you give me a price?" "Oh, we are." So they actually had to call up to them and actually find out information on this. So that doesn't leave me with good feelings of buying a piece of equipment where the dealer didn't even know they were the dealer for that.
And the second question, you're gonna put this on the excavator? Because when I saw this originally, I'm going, okay, do we have a piece of equipment that's not gonna tip over, or are we gonna be, is it the right piece of equipment for this attachment, or are we making it work?
So it goes right up where the bucket would be. So that's still going to be up on the road, just like if it was ditching. And it'll reach out to up, down, wherever it has to do, over behind rails, stuff like that, and be able to mulch down that 4-inch or smaller diameter brush material and put it on the ground and make it all nice.
Oh, okay.
Is it actually gonna look nice, or is it gonna look like where the railroad goes through and?
So it will look like that the first day or two until everything rains back up over, and then it will go away.
So in my head, I'm just thinking there's a lot of, like Pulteney, you've got a lot of back roads where there isn't a house for a mile.
Yep.
It's not the guy's front yard.
So that wouldn't be utilized in that
Judgment call?
Right. So even to the point talking with Nate, the way that Whitehall runs it is they'll go through there with that stuff. And if they snub off a branch off a tree that's back a ways, they go back out there with the pole saw and just live off. So it doesn't look like it's been decimated. You actually look like, if they took a 4-inch round limb off of a tree, they go back and cut it flush so it looks good. You don't hopefully damage your tree before you got to that point.
Other questions, concerns?
Yeah, my concern is I don't believe that the excavator, a tracked vehicle is the right thing to use on our roads.
The machine we have is rubber track. So it's
Okay,
designed
but it's
for-
still, the excavator is designed to turn and travel on gravel, where there's some slippage. You're on asphalt. You're gonna be tearing up the track, you're gonna be tearing up the final drive on the machine, you'll be taking the life out of it, and I don't agree with it. I think it's improper, well, maybe not improper, it's the wrong word, but I think there's a better choice for the equipment to actually use this.
I don't see that it's gonna be traveling 4 or 5 miles a week doing this. You're talking half a mile a day at most, I would bet, when it's moving. So it's not up and down the road, up and down the road. It's set somewhere, it moves for as many feet as it gets that day, goes back the next day. I think you're gonna see improved production out of it. I don't believe you'll see any wear and tear that comes up as a surprise from this. I think you're gonna see that production, more of that machine being used and utilized versus if we had a discussion with the trailer than just sitting there because we couldn't actually move it at that point, so.
Other questions, concerns? Anybody else?
So it's just salt and sand savings over time?
Salt, sand, and some gravel stuff.
And that also covered the line striping, and there were a couple other things
Yes.
we've added in.
Yep.
That worries me that there was that much.
There was, labor, was
A person?
down to, a whole person was down. Bud was 100% at the transfer station, or I'm sorry, DPW. He got moved up to transfer station exclusively halfway through the year, maybe a little bit more.
And I guess the other thought in my head is what are the other things coming that, 14,000 would offset one of your purchases that you planned on for the next fiscal year?
The next even truck is 3 years down the road, 4 years down the road.
So there's nothing this year.
Nothing that hasn't been planned for.
Uh-huh.
Just on that same line, I know we had quite a bit of talk over roadside mowing. I'm more concerned about roadside mowing getting done, quite frankly, than I am a brush getting cut. And we talked about getting a roadside mower that had the ability to mow and on that line. And have we got that? Because I look and say, if I'm gonna spend this kind of money, can I get roadside mower? Because it seems like we had one that we were fixed. Are we good there? Are we comfortable? Or because I thought we were looking for a mower that had that arm as well, that would do a better job of a roadside
Something
mower.
that had a little bit more efficiency and higher production.
Right, than what we had, and we seem to be breaking it pretty regular when we were going out with the other one.
At this point, the one we have, we feel will suffice. The tractor and a roadside mower, it's definitely something, I know it's on the plan, but it's way out there.
Right.
You're talking, even the roadside mower that you're talking about with the over the rail, you're talking in the realm, I want to save at least $30,000 just to buy the unit, let alone put it on the tractor we have.
Right, we don't have a tractor that probably would handle it.
Not sure of that. I haven't seen great performance out of that.
There's some used stuff out there for that. I mean, we don't do a ton of roadside mowing.
Yeah, not
There
very
is
many
some-
miles.
What?
Not very many miles. to-
No. I mean, there is some decent used stuff that we might have to work on a little bit.
Probably.
If we looked,
We're
we
deviating from the plan of replacing stuff, and if we're gonna do that, I have other equipment that is definitely more in line, in my mind, than a roadside mower.
Than a roadside mower.
I prefer a single axle truck with a wing that ran at least every other storm versus
Uh-huh.
not in a
Mhm.
storm this year.
Talk about that. What's going on with that truck?
It's running,
And it's
we haven't plowed with it, so it's running good.
and what's the replacement plan on that one? And potential cost?
Which one is it?
This is a rabbit hole, but
2015.
it's a 15. Okay. For a minute, I thought I heard we were replacing it in 50. So 50. 2050. That's a ways away. So, okay. That's a $60,000 truck or a
What's that?
That's like a $60,000 truck, or is that like
Talking about the
The
green truck?
single axle wing,
Mhm.
we're gonna be talking $150,000 new.
Okay.
If not more, but I know, yeah, the tandems are over 200.
I just didn't know if the 14 would be better spent putting into like the reserve or something like that at the end.
Right.
Or paying off another payment on current
Something.
equipment. That was my other thought is could we, it doesn't sound like the board's in support necessarily of this one. Is it a better idea to take 14,000 and pay off
Something else.
something, a loan that we have outstanding?
Let it be the carry
Or
forward.
carry forward
Carry
to
forward
get there,
We can
have
have a whole
reallocate.
year to look at, and we can plan for it, along with all of the other budget items.
Thoughts, Joe? You've been kind of quiet on this one.
This particular purchase is something that has come up over the last couple years. I have to support DPW. They're saying this is what they need and this is what that will help them do their job. We've struggled with our roadside mower. They said this would, like the mower, it would help us
This
a
is
lot.
not a roadside mower.
No, it catches the big stuff, I understand, but,
So with this, it would allow us to open up these roads more so the roadside mower would be more effective. And right now, we're jammed in, making one pass and having to dodge everything, and we can't get that second pass or even half a second pass in a lot of places that, not this year if we purchase ahead immediately, but over the years to come, we'll be able to push these road brush back so we can actually do real roadside mowing and make time. It's the investment to get more efficient and go better.
And what's the trade-off? What are we doing now that what's the job that doesn't get done that we're gonna do?
So we'll be able to do more effectively and get more done. So,
The day we're brush cutting, we're gonna get more done.
get more done. Because like I say, at this point, if you go up Manor Road, that was a whole week, I believe, of 3.5 guys to open that up. Whereas if that machine was out there with 2 guys, that would use the same result in a few days.
And could we just rent this head for like a week or a month?
We can rent the smaller one, but you have to rent the whole machine. I looked to see, so I could have proof in the pudding to show you, but you have to rent the whole excavator with it.
You got a number on that one?
Honestly, it was well over, honestly, it was over $1,000 for a week.
I mean, for $1,000, $2,000, you got 2 weeks. Could you get a lot done? And I mean, I could get behind
So
getting
the,
$2,000 out of this to rent that.
the thing for us is that those off days, it's raining like it had been for 2 weeks. There's only so many coats of paint on the plow that I want. It's still gonna come off anyway. Go take that machine up on this road and get some work done. Middle of winter, there's nothing else going on. Go take that machine and go get this done.
Alright. Others? Is there any action on it, or you guys just wanna table it for further discussion as more of a capital expenditure? Or let the money roll to the fund balance for DPW and worry
Yeah, personally, I'd rather see it roll. We can still buy it next year out of the rollover. We can make that choice or put it to the voters,
Yeah.
you know. But we have more information as to, you know, the whole picture of what we need.
Glenn, did you have?
Well, I really want to say, when it comes to cutting brush on the side of the road, I feel a little more inclined to lean towards doing it if I didn't feel we had such a bad experience. At least 3 different occasions, we cut brush on the side of the road and left the roads looking like heck, and had people complaining about the way they look. So it doesn't make me want to run right out there and let's get something so I can cut more brush and do more of that. Now, if we find that, I'll be the first to say, I don't know the problem. And you know, and DPW knows it better than I do, that we have brush on the side of the road that needs to be cut, and this is what we need. And it probably would make it easier and to clean up and all the other stuff, but I'm not a huge, when you say you're gonna cut brush on the side of the road, I just wonder when I'm gonna get the next phone call saying what we got, that we did wrong on that job.
Was this on a capital request plan that we have for every year?
No, that's
No, this unit was not.
Okay, so,
When we did the capital plan, it was a heavy focus on
Me.
need, but also it was focused on like cars and trucks and bobcats, you know, much larger items than this wasn't.
Oh, I thought like 15,000.
Pretty large.
Fire trucks.
yeah,
But I gotta say that it seems that every year there's a, you know, the budget plan is done and we look at it holistically, and then halfway through the year, or at some other point in the year, by the way, we got a couple extra dollars, let's buy some more equipment. It was never discussed. I think we should discuss the whole thing and prioritize, give us a chance to prioritize. What if there's something in the next budget cycle that you really gotta have, we gotta pull it up? Well, if we had this $15,000, maybe we could do it, rather than or raise the taxes. So we can make a fully informed decision, you know, in the budget cycle, without having to deal with the, oh, by the ways, and
is the capital request process on an annual calendar? I've never seen one since we've been here. Not a discussion where we go through the list of what's coming up next year, the year after.
When we do the budget review.
that's when we do the budget,
I
yeah.
think it should be, we should try to do it ahead of that.
Yeah, we can bring it up
Give
much.
time to think about it and ask the questions.
It's kind of always out there. That's what I'm hoping it is.
So we developed a plan 2 or 3 years ago. And the concern is always, and Fairhaven has been wonderful, the concern is always, with a new board, it's like, well, let's change it.
Starting over.
And then a new board says, let's change it, and then pretty much you just, so that's always the concern. But Fairhaven's been wonderful, we've actually got over the hump of the big purchases. And moving forward, it shouldn't be as painful as it was 2 years ago.
Which is why we're a little cautious.
Sure, I 100% understand.
That Public Works Reserve for equipment is
We
low.
annihilated it.
Yeah.
With all the equipment
Public
purchases.
Works equipment is 121% spent right now.
121.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
That's,
Oh, the line item or the
Reserve.
the Public Works
reserve can't be over.
equipment, not the reserve,
Yeah, okay.
The reserve has 64,000.
right.
That made me nervous. So I guess what I'm saying, so that's 80,000 towards $120,000 truck if we think about what we're doing.
Well, I just heard that it could go to 200.
Yeah.
He should have a trade.
Should be some trade value.
Something? No, nothing.
You got
Okay.
$15,000 on the last one.
Yeah, yeah. Agreed.
All right, if I'm reading the board right,
Yeah.
Aaron, there's not consensus to move forward with that purchase yet, but I think they want to discuss a larger plan. That money would roll into the,
Presuming that there is a rollover, it would
Yeah.
roll.
into the,
Contribute to that.
to the fund balance that could be reallocated by the board at that. I don't know when the audit comes back and you have the audited financials, at what point that is, but
It'll be late July and into August, but once it rolls into fund balance, it's a voter appropriation. The board can't touch
except for
that.
DPW. DPW can be
Yeah.
authorized by the board.
As long as it's going towards
As long as
specifically
it's saying
DPW
DPW.
stuff.
Are you sure?
Pretty sure.
General fund has to be voted on by the voters,
Okay. That's new to me, so I've never done that, so, yeah,
but it makes more sense to obviously
let it roll.
and go out to the voters for it with the whole thing. But technically, I believe the board can reallocate that.
I think it should be transparent,
Yeah, definitely.
you know,
Definitely. Yeah.
tell the voters, this is what we think is the best thing. You know, put it up for discussion.
Aaron, did you want to talk about the truck bed? I know that wasn't on the list, but just to give the board an update on that.
On the pickup truck,
Yeah.
so there's, the truck itself is supposed to be replaced in 3 years. Thought was to try and get a flatbed on it to alleviate the issue of that bed is already had body work done on it, and that body work is already failing again. The whole truck itself needs body work, cab corners and rockers. We were hoping to buy a flatbed for it, and as well at the same point put an electric crane on it, so when we're pulling pumps out of pump stations, it's not, the task right now is they have to put the hoist in the truck receiver hitch, take it to where they're going, pull the pump, which consists of pulling the pump up halfway, resetting, rehooking, pulling it up the rest of the way. Whereas we could go and buy the proper tool for the job and be able to hook that pump and pull it out in one fell swoop and have that crane always on that machine, so call comes at midnight, it's not two people need to get to the pump, or down there to actually safely get the crane on, it's the truck can actually go start working with one person meeting them there. But the timing of it will not work out for budget reasons anyway, at this point. The only way it would work is if we bought the parts and pieces and have them sitting here waiting for efforts to put them on.
Gotcha. Questions on that for Aaron?
Yeah,
That's the one purchase that I was gonna be all for.
now,
Satan.
now.
No, that was,
You don't want that one, that's the one I wanted.
I guess I feel like if you call, like, say, you know, Joe's Equipment, and they've got a crane they can order and you can send the truck over there, I'm still having trouble that that's not purchased this year. If you've got the PO, and the truck is headed there,
there's parts.
I'm wrong on this?
Delays on everything.
You got 6 weeks, right? That would be,
It has to be here and built in 6 weeks, and I don't think the time frame. Everybody's backed up on this kind of stuff, is what it boils down to.
But it's still gonna be rollover.
true.
I mean, it can still be discussed. I think it would be a valuable piece of equipment.
Yeah.
And certainly, you know, worker safety and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I can imagine those pumps are a little bit heavy
Yeah.
to pull up through that little hole.
All right, well, thanks. Thank you, Aaron, for putting that together.
Good, thank you.
Sewer, let's see, where did Carol go?
Should be fine.
What do you think? Sewer abatement request? Do you wanna walk us through that, Joe?
Yes, so this came in, I finally got the request from the property owner this afternoon. We are not prepared to talk about it. I did pull the information, but I didn't have time to digest it. Just the brief synopsis. Miss Eddy is saying that the Green Mountain Mobile Manor has not pumped sewage to the sewage plant since August 2018, and she wants a sewer abatement from
Where is the
2018
sewer gone?
into the Class 2 wetlands, presumably.
Wonderful.
She wants to talk about this?
No, she wants an abatement. She doesn't want to talk about it.
Yeah, right, well, she's gonna have to talk about it.
Yep, so the town did help her, get a $10,000 grant to help pay off some of her backwater and sewer charges. But she is currently requesting $31,666 in abatement. This is a little sticky. Nobody's ever requested a sewer abatement because of a sewer leak. It's always been, oh, my faucet broke and it went on the ground for an hour or whatever.
Who's lack of a better term. Well, you said you weren't prepared to talk about this.
I'm not.
Right.
Right, let's table it.
Let's table it.
Table it. Okay, we'll table this to the next meeting, or,
And she did, I did talk to Debbie last week, but she didn't give me her request until I just came in this afternoon, so I didn't have time to get at it.
so we will table till the next meeting, if you're prepared at the next meeting.
We'll be ready for the next meeting.
Cemetery deed. Jeff, do you have a motion?
I don't have
Back page.
that one. Motion to approve the sale of a cemetery lot 77 in section 11 to Paul and Kim Howard. Is that the one we're on?
Yep.
Yep.
Paul and Kim Howard.
Second it.
Okay, motion by Jeff, seconded by Glenn to approve the sale of the cemetery lot. Any questions? No? Okay, all in favor?
Right?
Okay, the motion carries. Black. Paving discussion.
Sure. So we've made it to year 2 of the paving plan. Just a recap on the plan. Scotch Hill is kind of the elephant in the room out there. Scotch Hill is a class 2 road. When the town is awarded their class 2 paving grant, the idea was to take that paving grant along with all of the town paving funds and then redo Scotch Hill. That was the vision. We did not receive that grant this year. So instead of doing Scotch Hill, we're moving forward with the plan, which is the plan. This year on our schedule is Furnace Street. This was moved to this year because of some drainage issues on Furnace. Those will be addressed. 4th Street, just the edges where it's all chewed up from previous work, that will be repaved. Swamp, Aaron will speak to Swamp because I can't remember what we decided.
Swamp Road, from what we have for budget, for paving, we're gonna shim it with 1 inch all the way across. The original hope was to be able to shim it and top it, but we do not have money to do both.
In addition to Swamp, we're doing Union. We'll be repaving Union. And half of Airport this year, and then the other half is for next year.
Was that from like the bridge?
Airport will get 1 inch up to the bridge, so just a shim on that as well, that's all the budget will for,
So you won't fix those bad ones.
not past the bridge, just up to the bridge. So from 4th Street to Route 4.
And that was,
We'll get this within $9,000, hopefully, of where we're at budget-wise.
And that's all shim, no grinding.
Furnace Street is a grind of, as of now, 2 inches down and then 2 inches back. One of the residents stopped me today and was concerned that still was not enough. And I explained to them I'm not sure if we will meet on the same page ever, because the top was going 12 inches possibly.
Down?
It's kind of what I heard. I didn't cipher it all through. I told them that we'd be up to discuss when we get closer to actual work.
What's the
No
time?
grinding on 4th Street?
Right.
Start?
You're gonna grind 4th Street to get all the lumpiness out, or?
So all that is just to shim over to cover the bad stuff as best we can. That's all that was estimated for, which is patchwork up there.
How much would it cost to grind it? Not the whole thing, to grind a path down.
It's-
Yeah, the edges, yeah.
All that sidewalk work
Well, the cutting up to the sidewalk, yeah.
from that
You
sidewalk.
just mill out the bad stuff and put it back in. Furnace Street alone is $10,500 estimated for 2 inches. So if we're up there and do even a quarter of that, we're looking at, and that's the whole street. So I'm gonna say if we're doing spots, he's gonna charge me more because that machine's just moving around crazy, not doing full roads. That's gonna be a few $1,000s probably easily.
A few $1,000s? Well, if you're within
Well,
8,
You're
then
gonna
you're
end up,
pretty close.
well, it's
That
gonna end
number-
up paving more though, right, if you do that?
Yes.
Because they aren't gonna grind like a 4-foot strip.
I'm not sure how small they'll be able to go.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
Depends
I mean,
on
maybe-
what miller they have here for that.
Right.
So
I mean,
that money that I've talked about is gonna be used for hopefully fixing the ditch work or the drainage work on Furnace Street.
The 8,000.
Yes. And I'm hoping
Well,
that's enough.
who's gonna be doing that?
We're hoping we can do it, but if it's something that we can't get done in a timely manner to get ready for paving, it'll have to be outside as well.
Well, you guys don't cost us money out of that budget.
Materials too.
Okay, the materials do, yes.
We got a plan where to outlet that water, or are you just doing catch basins?
We're hoping to do dry wells, but we have to get some perk testing done and make sure we're not gonna impede our water line. Because it's the last thing I wanna do is to freeze a water line, because then we have more issues than just water coming off the road.
So when is the proposed date of paving to start?
The pipe is gonna hopefully come out this week yet, so we can go over the finalized plan, this plan, because we were waiting on that class 2 grant to either come or not come to finalize. He's hoping to be out this week, so we can finalize what the numbers actually are. These are what I have from estimates from the last 3 months of him coming and checking out what we have going on. So, hopefully then I'll get an idea of when he's looking to schedule. At this point, I know everyone is full of money to pave with all the money that got dropped, so I have not a clue at this moment where we stand.
And the reason I asked, because when we were talking detouring and on Route 30, if it was early, would we end up right in the middle of all that? That was the only reason for asking.
Yeah, that would be bad timing.
Other questions on the paving plan? I mean, it continues the long-term plan, right?
Yeah, it's really.
Yeah, I don't have an issue with the streets and stuff,
Yeah.
but I just hope that we can utilize our people as much as possible to.
Could we at least put Scotch Hill on the list? On this list? It just keeps going, every year it kind of falls away.
It just sits there.
Just put it on the list.
What's that?
Scotch Hill.
Gotcha, with a value on it.
Sure. I'll put it on all of them and then
Nice.
we'll cross it off when we get there.
Perfect.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, other questions? The grant is completely out this year. It's the next year.
It's,
so-
That'll be what, 6?
years?
Yeah, like 5 or 6 years. So your odds are going up every year, right?
Brian did send us the scoring rubric, and it's based on total money the town has received, divided by, subtracted from how many miles of class 2 road you have. So yeah,
It gets better every.
based on if they give more money to other towns. So all the other towns get a lot of money, so their score goes down, and then we don't get any money, so our score goes up.
Alright.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
different, but yes.
All right.
It's meant to spread the wealth, right? So everybody gets a little bit.
Yeah. Okay, water and sewer budget discussion? I think Mike's still over there.
He's asleep.
He's hiding behind the pillars.
I told Aaron to wake me up when it was my turn.
So, I mean, we had the first
First.
version of it last meeting. Were the questions specific, or Mike, do you wanna go through it? How do you wanna?
This is all new to me, I guess, however, it's been been
Yep.
done in the past, is
Yeah, Mike's new to the budget.
Yep.
What we typically have done is the chair has just kind of walked through the
Yep.
budget and asked questions to the board, and that seems to work pretty good.
We can do that.
You want to have Mike give us like a 5-minute overview of what the big plans are, or no?
What do you try to accomplish in the budget and?
Usually they give us
Yeah,
just
they
a
give a
little bit.
little overview, yeah.
Trying to stay afloat.
Trying to stay afloat, level, yeah, okay.
Total line on the bottom showing that almost a 0% increase. So there's
Yep.
no increase in services that we will be able to provide. We're gonna hopefully just do what we have to do with the bond payment that has been put in the budget.
I mean, we can go through first page 1 of 6 there. Is there anything that sticks out to the board? Questions?
Just a question on the water admin salary, the 8.6% increase is,
Yep, so you'll also see that same increase on the sewer side.
yeah,
That's a direct reflection of DPW, the accountant, and accounts receivable receiving pay increases.
Didn't we move money between budgets as well? Didn't you account for some? I'm pretty sure, yes.
Not for this line, no.
not for this line item,
No, this is, are you talking about the,
performance, no?
oh, what is it called? Mike, what's Ryan? He is the apprentice. Are you talking about the
Apprentice?
apprentice?
Okay.
Yeah,
Sure.
there was a shift there, but not,
Something shifted from Public Works over into this fiscal year, correct? Or was that last year? Okay, alright.
The water line, sewer line is shared with DPW because it's the person
Okay.
from highway that does that work.
No,
There's, so with the back and forth of the monies of where the average of the last 5 years, you will see changes, sewer line, water line that reflect back and forth from DPW.
Yeah, down
Okay.
31. Other questions on the first?
that's exactly what you're
Yeah.
thinking. I'm sorry. Yeah, you'll see that. That's very obvious.
And that is under 6320. Aaron, that's what you're talking about, water line
31.
salary.
Mhm.
Okay.
Professional services, why is there such a big decrease in that?
Percentage.
It's yeah, the percentage is
Yeah.
big. I mean, the dollars aren't much, but if you look back to 17-18, it was over $5,000. So, what sorts of things go in there?
So this is, although they say legal in this, that's not the case. This is like NEMRIC and technical assistance, IT services, that kind of thing. I think the 17-18, that's quite a blip. We don't spend much money out of that line
Okay.
historically.
Are you doing water?
We're doing well.
Going second on the first page.
Underwater meters, and it's really not a line item question, it's more of a, well, I have here, Mike, we have a certain number of new meters that haven't been put in.
we're down to about 50 now.
Okay, that's, I was wondering where we were
Last year,
and hope to have it done by end of summer?
as more and more people are starting to feel comfortable letting me back into their home, I am fully vaccinated, and as things get lifted as far as that goes, pretty much this week we've started, I put in 5 already between last week and this week, so people are starting to let me back in. I'm hoping by the end of the summer. I mean, it's gonna come down probably to the last 15 or 20, beating on the door and saying, you know, you're the last one, let me in.
Okay, good.
Alright, second page. Are you circling, Joe?
third page.
Alright, we're on the second page, Joe.
Water salary is the same explanation.
Seems to be a larger increase, went to 15.2,
Page 3, you're looking for water treatment salary,
Yeah,
instead of guessing. Yeah, this is where you'll see the intern dropped in. Also on the, so this intern added 12,000 to the line item. On the wastewater treatment side, you'll see that was reduced by 15,000.
okay.
Okay. Page 3, Jeff?
Just a big cut to the water capital improvement fund.
Yes. As a way to keep the budget down.
What I'm seeing is that we didn't really cut a ton out of the budget, we just cut improvement, or the
Reserve.
reserve funding for future.
Water treatment plant saw a $70,000 decrease.
45,000 of it is,
No, oh, I'm sorry, that's wastewater.
just wondering, I may be reading it wrong.
These should be budgets.
Sorry.
The bulk of it is cutting reserve allocation.
Yeah, I would have to agree.
Go back budget to actual or water treatment facility all the way through. We've shown more expenditure than budgeted, so to cut the budget to try and take up a loan payment would be, in my mind, a disservice to the users.
When I look at this budget for water plant and I think of, you know how we had the water leaking and we had to look at, coming out of Inman Pond and saying, okay, our plan is to watch it, and then where's the monies if as we're watching it, all of a sudden we've got to do something? Is the monies to fix a problem in here
What's in the reserve for the capital?
or somewhere? I mean, just wanna make sure we're,
Funding it
If
properly.
that gets
Just put a bit
worse
in the sinking.
and we don't fix it from our discussions last year with Wayne Elliott, it would probably be cheaper to drill a new tunnel and put in a new pipe than trying to fix what's there now.
and we have money in a reserve that would,
There is money in the reserve. I don't have the exact number in my
Okay.
packet, but,
Water meter took
I
a
would
good chunk
think-
out of that, though, correct?
It
Water
did.
meters?
Historically, we never have enough,
Right.
it would be. it
and
would be
that's
amazing.
why this is
It's,
Okay,
it's a,
short-sighted.
just to follow up on Aaron's comment, it's a red flag that, to me, that was where the bulk of the cuts. It was billed as a, cut down budget. I just want people to know that's coming out of future planning,
Tomorrow's money.
not necessarily the current budget.
That was number two.
Yeah, I was gonna
A
say,
little bit.
You're gonna get to a point where you're saving money right now, but 5 years from now, everything's gonna break and you're gonna be so far over budget that it's like, oh my God, where are we gonna get this
And when
money
you go,
from?
when you go to borrow, you're probably looking at higher interest rates than you are today.
But if we keep on putting money in there.
Should have some.
Then you have something.
Then you have
Yeah.
some, yeah.
Well, that's fine.
So I mean, I think we should come back to that and when we get to
Yeah.
the point of actually approval and just, see where the numbers and rates and all that shake out to get, see if we can allocate a little bit more there.
And the sad part is about, the numbers and stuff. Most of them are, I don't wanna say big ticket items, but everything, a new turbidimeter that we just had to order because the two we got are failing. You're looking $4,000 or $5,000 for, one piece of lab equipment that you have to satisfy the state.
Right.
So, it's not like we're talking a couple $100 to replace a few screwdrivers or something, you know, one piece of equipment's $4,000 or $5,000. So,
Yeah.
I mean, you gotta kinda look at it that way too, you know, I mean,
Yeah, it wasn't necessarily meant as a pitch to cut more, more as a pitch to add back in some reserve funds.
Right.
Just for the board's knowledge, every $10,000 added will be about 26 cents to your user rate.
And health insurance, I mean, is that more people in there? I mean, it's 139% increase.
It's
21?
Yep, so
on the
that's
sewer fund,
It's an extra
there's
person.
extra big hunk cut out of it.
Okay, well, there's 21,
11,360.
21 add over here. So
Yeah,
you're,
so there's
it's,
still
Half by
10,000
half.
missing.
Is that just moving people around?
10,000.
10.
No, the health insurance reflects $20,000 added for a possible family plan for a new hire. Whenever we have the new hire, we drop that family plan. That could go down to, you know, past numbers if that person doesn't want
You're
insurance.
looking at most
Budget
Worst case
highest.
scenario,
Okay.
yeah.
does that, it doesn't seem like the HRA is equal to that.
No, HRA does, so the accountant had that at 14,000, and that is full coverage. We typically don't use we don't use all of that money. I cut $4,000 out of that.
Does that put, okay. 4,000.
That's more based on actual, or the health insurance is based
So
on.
21,
Which would make it
21,
100%.
right, well, I think you said 7,000, it would make it 100%. So 21,000 is purely, that's one person,
That's a family plan. Yeah,
a family
yeah,
plan?
that's one hire, yes.
One hire.
Which could change depending on when you finish your interviews and all that.
Sure.
Any big changes planned up there? That one's running pretty smooth.
yeah, it's running smooth, same as, you know, what everybody says, there is a shelf life on everything, for that's a 40-year-old plant. There are some cosmetic things that I was trying to squeak out of this year's budget. I know you've been up there, Jeff, and a few others have been up there from the board. As you drive through the gate, the biggest thing is the north tank, which is the clear wall right outside the building, desperately needs to be painted. Got a couple estimates between $5,000 and $6,000, you know, for prepping, priming, and painting.
And you think you have that in this year's budget?
We did have until we needed the turbine. There again, you know, it's just a matter of prioritizing. When the state says you gotta have something versus something looking pretty, you kinda go with the state.
All right, other questions on the water portion?
Are there any other cuts that you made to this? Not recommended by department heads? Just,
Oh yeah, I butchered it.
okay, alright. Never mind.
We had a meeting and we talked, and I apologize.
But these numbers match up to what we saw
Yes.
at the last meeting for the decrease, okay.
All right, sewer fund.
This one. There's
They should have been stapled.
two of them.
I was confused with that. One was double-sided, one was
Three
single-sided.
sewers.
Yeah.
You don't
All
have,
right,
he doesn't have a sewer fund?
no, this
That's
one was
okay, I
double,
got- I got
and the others were single.
Right.
I was like, what? All right, sewer fund. Questions on that first page?
No, we answered my administration question already with the other one, so it's good.
Yep. 380%.
Sewer line salaries
Sam?
went up quite a bit.
Yeah, so I think this is what Jeff was alluding to earlier. DPW sets this, because they're the ones that fix the sewer lines. that 9,500 is, that $12,000 proposed is based on past 5 years' usage of DPW's time fixing sewer lines. Does that make sense? So it's a rolling average, and just like we saw, the water department saw a decrease of a few thousand. This year we see, in the sewer lines, we see kind of a dramatic increase because of all the sewer work we've been doing lately.
So. Must be some really big numbers that fell off the chart.
Yes.
Right.
So this one, like I made the mistake earlier, wastewater treatment did see a $69,000 reduction.
No, but let's stay on the line.
Oh, okay.
The sewer lines, you know, you say it's a 5-year rolling average.
Mhm.
What fell off the chart that made it go up substantially higher than the actuals that I see on the chart?
Yeah, it was $12,000 and $13,000 years. And
That-
this is like this because we had to split out the water and sewer for the auditor 2 years ago.
And now.
Well,
Because
even if
we
you
had
had,
that-
even if you had $12,000 or $13,000 years, that still doesn't justify a 12,000. Like, averaging doesn't work that way.
Is it averaging the lines or reallocating DPW's time?
It's reallocating.
I think it was the real.
Oh, it's not,
Because I think that's
Yeah,
Scott's
I see what
question.
you're
It's
saying.
not the,
That's my point.
it's not this 5-year average, it's the reallocation of their time
it's labor
from
time.
actuals.
It should be about the same though, he's right. It should be about the same.
5-year rolling
based on-
average is 5-year rolling average.
No.
Yeah. But it is so if you have
Money
100,
came out of public works and went over here.
here.
But it's always done that. They've always done that. Public Works charges sewer.
But it's more now. They moved more. Aaron, is that true or no?
I know they used to charge
Get them all
them,
wet.
now our time comes direct. So if we go and work on sewer lines, when we do our time sheets out,
Okay.
it is charged directly to that line.
Got it. So this is an estimate based on what you think is gonna happen.
Over the last 5 years is showing, this would show that the last 5 years we've been getting heavier on the sewer, lighter somewhere else, so it comes down to that, the way the math works.
But
That's where
I'm
that-
still looking at 72 and 70, or 8,400 the last 2 years. I don't know why the actual, 17, 18 actual is not in there, but
That's where that split of the years
Yeah,
was,
that
was the auditors. If you just go back to water lines, you'll show the,
yeah, water lines went down.
water lines been going down.
What number is that?
That's where that actuation changes a little bit, because we've been using less of the time on water lines, more sewer lines.
Yeah, that's, we always look at the budget that way. We don't look at 5 years, but, because we don't have 5-year history here.
So we're anticipating, based on calculations when we worked on the, the 030 budget last year, we kind of have to tinker with this as well. 4% of DPW time will be used on sewer, and that's where that
There
number
you go.
comes from.
There you go.
So 4% of all DPW salary is now allocated towards these
There you
sewer
go.
lines.
See, they changed the plan. They changed the way that they've
On the allocation.
done the allocations.
That's why.
So
It's
they don't-
not based on 5 years.
No.
It's based on the 4% that's coming out.
Right, on the
And that came out of DPW's budget and moved into this one. And that's what I've been
Right.
saying.
And if we don't do
Thank you.
sewer, if
Yeah,
we don't
sorry, I
do
didn't
sewer
understand.
work, then it's an oops, we shouldn't have done that.
It's
It
our
doesn't
best
matter
guess,
because
so this
it's done in
is,
the other budget already.
it's our best guess of the work that we have done in the past and what we can project into the future. We could very well do 0, or we could do 10, depending on if we have a break. It's
This
it's
is
the
what I
nature of
think we should
budgeting.
do, a salary, put everyone's salary, and then just charge to what they,
No, I think that's basically what you're doing now.
no, they're pre-charging.
Right, but it's,
But you have to have an estimate in
It's
there
there.
to begin with, right?
Yeah.
Is what you're
That's-
saying, Jeff?
But,
yeah.
well, and I'm saying, no, you don't have to.
I'm saying,
If everything's charged to what they work on, that's the 20/80 rule I've been saying for
yeah, I think
years.
that's what they're basing it on is the 20, 80 hours.
Yep.
It's an
But they're-
allocation. It's not gonna go down. You aren't gonna save from that number, I don't think, if he works less.
And we're,
That's salary.
we're not charging it, we're estimating that that's what you will pay.
Yeah.
I understand that, but if you don't work on it, then it's an oops.
It'll come
So
out.
you can never tell what you were actually working on at the end of the year.
But won't the actual be charged against DPW?
Well, no, you'll be able to see that.
Because Aaron already said he's doing on his timesheets either
Right.
DPW or, so this is just an estimate, but the actual at the end of the year is gonna be based on your timesheets,
Okay,
right?
And that's how we figure this number out. We
I'm
take,
confused by that.
this, every year that I've done this, we've talked the same thing around this topic.
It's a new board, new people, yeah.
Well, it's confusing even for, if you've done it a few times.
I guess I was under the impression that number wasn't going to significantly change based on billed hours. It's allocated. Because if you don't bill it, where's it gonna go? You spent the money on the salaries one way or another.
Right,
Right.
that's the 2080.
That's where it's gonna come from.
Yeah.
It's in this budget, you're gonna raise revenue to cover it in this budget. This budget's gonna pay for it, whether he works it or not.
Right.
No.
Yes, no, he's
It
right.
is now,
We
yes.
figured in 4%.
Yeah,
That's what I'm trying to say.
I think you're either gonna have a surplus or a deficit in either water, sewer, or DPW, depending on how it's actually charged on the timesheet. You could end of the year with
Right, I think
$7,500 in,
I think that's where this plan fell down. I don't think it was
yeah,
necessarily meant to be allocated differently based on
actual,
actual.
gotcha,
Because that's a big hole.
yeah.
It's gonna be a problem.
No, this is how it's been done for.
Right, but it wasn't as significant. Now there's more in here, counted on, to make the budget work.
Oh, because that's what we anticipate to use.
Because you still have all the people. See, if you don't bill it to water sewer, DPW is gonna have a deficit.
Right.
Because they have to pay the guy
To work on the sewer line.
to work somewhere else. He's there. Aaron is still
If the
there.
sewer work
Yes, I would
isn't
agree with
done.
that.
The actuals,
Yeah.
Yep.
the actuals.
Which is, that's budgeting though. We could zero that out and maybe we won't have any sewer problems.
No, I'm just trying
It's
to
just-
explain where the number came from,
Oh, yeah.
and that it's there because it's not actuals. It's changed based on percentages.
Labor percentage.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was
Allocated
I
more
was looking
people
at this a lot
towards that
more
line.
simplistic,
Yeah.
saying our lines are getting older and older, and we're gonna spend more money. So I looked at it and said, it's a pretty good bet that we're gonna spend more
More
money.
time.
just-
Agreed.
Just based on how often you bring them to flesh out, and just listening the number of
We
times that
moved-
they pay them.
We
But this
moved
is,
it
no,
because
those are other purchase services.
I
This
understand.
is our people, and,
Right.
that's a whopping jump, okay, to assume for our people.
Understood, but I bet our people go and prep it. Open it up.
so
The-
our
the
people are
point that
there
I had-
either way. It just moved it out of DPW and into water sewer.
The
To be
point
paid
that
for
I was
only
making
by
though is,
sewer and water users.
we were told that it's a 5-year rolling average, and I'm saying,
Oh, yeah,
there's no data here that
Yeah.
justifies that
I
statement.
agree
Yeah,
with you
no,
100%.
it's labor
That's not a
average.
You don't think
five-year
so?
roll.
You think it's
I don't
gonna
think
bill
so.
out for what's used and
I think
It's
it's
gonna
gonna
come
bill
in.
out, and if there's surplus here, it'll go into the fund balance, and it will be reallocated back into
okay.
the appropriate lines at the end of the year.
Follow
Or
up.
it'll be reduced out of DPW.
Follow up on that one, Joe.
Okay. Good question.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think there's obviously different interpretations, so we need to get the right interpretation.
Yeah. It's anyway. We got it.
Yeah.
Rabbit hole.
Jeff went down that hole.
Again. Sorry.
All right,
It's always me.
second page,
Whatever.
anything else there?
Yeah, there's something.
Page 5 and
30.
6, the biosolid disposal seemed to, it's just more expensive to get rid of that stuff.
Always, right?
Well, it's becoming more and more expensive to get rid of it. It's also a kind of a direct result of us doing a better job
We're removing a lot more phosphorus than we've done in the past. And for every pound of phosphorus that we get rid of, it creates several more pounds of waste material. Just the nature of the chemistry. And so the better we get, the more expensive it gets.
Will the new plant even exacerbate this number? Possibly?
It could.
Could.
It could. We still don't know exactly how the plant is supposed to work. We've been trying to hash this out with the engineers, and at first they said, well, we're gonna try to make it work just like the plant is now. And then they said, well, no, you got the only plant in the state that does that, so it's not really necessary. And so we're still going back and forth, but we're gonna.
So the
we're
jury is
working with
still
them
out
to
on
try
whether
to
it's-
make it as much like this plant.
So the jury is still out on whether it's more efficient or equal to what we have.
That's correct.
Other things on that page? I mean, just to Jeff's concern about capital improvements in general, I mean, that's something we should revisit. Get toward the end, we don't wanna shortchange the,
Anything big other than the plant? You're not planning on any significant changes? Pumps?
After the plant, the collection system really is gonna need more love, because $6.5 million plant does us no good with no stuff getting to it to be treated, so. If you look at that outside purchases line, it's way overspent already this year, and it will continue to be that way until we get ahead of this deferred maintenance.
Agreed.
And like I said, reactive responses cost you way more than proactive measures ever cost. It's just getting over the hump of being in between them, being reactive and proactive at the same time.
That was the crazy lone voice that talked about doing lines at the same time. It's true.
all right, other questions? No, so we got a couple items to follow up on. Leave it at that.
Can you, bring the reserve totals, the sinking and the wind for the next one?
Okay, any other questions?
So direction from the board, am I moving funds, leaving it as it is?
Well, no, I
We
don't
just
think it's
looked
leaving
at
it
it,
as
we didn't
is.
make any changes.
I think the request was the sinking fund, and
Yeah,
so we can determine on the water side.
and then how the allocation of staff, how that comes together.
Mainly clarification, I don't think there's much we can do about it.
No, because you already have it in DPW.
Right.
So, I'll make copies of this. This shows the allocations of all.
Okay.
all the
Okay,
stuff.
It's
that would probably
mainly,
help.
I think the big question is, does it change
Yes.
based on the amount of work? And you're
Yes.
saying yes, so.
I think that's where you see a lot of it this year, is that there was a lot of time spent last year on sewer lines, on the manhole rehabbing for all the streets that got paved in the village area.
So that must really help your budget, DPW's budget.
And that's where that little bit of playoff comes in. If it wasn't forecasted, which I don't believe it really was, there was a lot of time spent on that.
It
You will
moves
see
a
that.
significant portion, so you end up with a surplus.
I think, yeah, we have to look.
Potentially, we're talking semantics. I'm not,
All right, so we'll get back, when does it have to be approved by, Joe? That's the,
July 1 is when it rolls.
Okay.
So just to be clear, so I get the board, what they want, you guys wanna know about, you guys want the reserve totals, so that way we can decide on adding or not adding to the reserves.
Yeah.
And then sewer labor, how that
The allocation, you said you were gonna make.
Yeah, I can just bring this. I didn't think that we would all need copies, but yeah, I have that all printed out too.
I guess
There's one other thing. If there's a capital budget worksheet by department, I think it'd be great to have that when we're looking at all these departments and not always act surprised like we haven't heard of it before. And I think that'd be helpful for everybody.
Good.
All right, thank you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
You don't have to leave if you don't wanna.
Yeah, it's a good time.
Yeah, yeah. You're welcome to stay. Yeah.
Joe told me the
Yeah,
pizza
me
was
too,
cold.
by that.
Where's the pizza? Thank you guys.
Thanks.
Good night.
Any items in the parking lot?
No.
No.
Yes.
Resident of the year.
Yes,
No.
there was a meeting
Oh,
and I
meeting.
wasn't notified till last, do we know? Oh,
Let me talk to that. I
Agreed.
talked to the committee and they said, oh, that sounds, in theory, it sounds like a good idea. And then someone recommended I check with somebody at Williams Hardware in Pontley to see what they do because they do a citizens year. So I went, and this is where Aaron's gonna see if I'm honest on this one. So I did a little research. I didn't call anyone. I just went and researched it and saw, it looks like the Pontley Chamber of Commerce they've been doing it since 1990, doing a Citizen of the Year. And there's some guidelines, they do some neat stuff where they say you meet these criteria, you can nominate people. Then they get selected. The nuance of how they select, I didn't get into. Once you're selected as the Citizen of the Year, you're the Grand Marshal in a parade, you do the tapping them, something with Maple Festival, there's a couple things that you do. The whole key to that and how it was working, and it seemed to be a very positive, very good thing there, and I'll be bringing this information back to the committee when we get to say, here's what I found out, is that we in Fairhaven may not have that really good active chamber. And who would serve as the role, because the chamber has their website and everything pretty much happens off of their website. So more to follow, but we had some information. The committee said, hey, it sounds like a good idea, get some more information, so more to follow. We're not ready with a recommendation of
I would think
what
that
to
it'd be
do.
hard for the select board to do it.
Yeah,
I wouldn't recommend the select board be the keepers of that. So knowing that, you go back and say,
that's the criteria.
what are some others, organizations?
What committee's working on this?
What's the committee
What
going to do?
committee?
This was a combination of parade, Friday night, we had members from the itty bitty committee, members from economic development and historical society. We had every one of the groups are basically represented in the
This
meeting.
one's out of control.
It's, but more discussion to happen as to if we were to do something, before you put a proposal together, you gotta have the group and how you're gonna work it, but, good stuff, more to follow on it.
Nice.
All right, anything else there? Okay, board roundtable?
Pass.
Joe, I had a question, I think I asked you, I wanted to get clarification about the Hometown Heroes Memorial. Who's organizing that and how is that functioning? What's the criteria to be added to the memorial? Just because we're on TV and we can kind of publicize that.
Sure. So Emily Stockwell is spearheading this. The idea is to put a new memorial in the triangle over here where the other memorials are. I believe it's wars from Vietnam to present day. Criteria are you have to live in Fairhaven. It doesn't. Oh, I'm sorry, that's not true. Let me get my text before I start talking out of turn. Because there was a lot of discussion around this. Did you have to go to school here? Did you have to have parents here? So
Die here.
yeah, there was something. So let me get the words directly from Oops, sorry, Glenn.
No, you're good.
If I can find her. Bear with me. Okay, here we are. Per Ms. Stockwell, any vet, no matter where you are from or where you live, can be on the new memorial for vets from Vietnam to present.
I don't get that. No matter where you're from or where you live,
The question I think I asked,
Could be
if you lived in
anybody.
Georgia, could you be on the memorial? And the answer was yes, as long as you can prove that you were in the war with a DD 214, and there was another military paper that would
So
suffice.
this isn't a Fairhaven.
Yeah, but why call it hometown heroes?
Yeah.
If it's not.
So I guess that was part of my
They're
question
not hometown.
from the citizen that I talked to is, who sets that criteria and what committee, or how is that working? Because I think there's some questions out there about.
Sure. So the hometown hero, it's actually an organized nonprofit. Those would be the folks that are setting the criteria that you have to apply to be on the memorial,
Yeah.
and then make that final decision.
So it's an established group then?
Yeah.
Alright, thank you.
It's an organized what?
Group nonprofit.
Nonprofit.
Glenn, did you have any?
No, I'm all set.
Alright, review of financial reports.
Motion to pay the payroll warrant, $29,908.51.
Second.
Motion by Jeff, seconded by Rod for the payroll warrant. Any questions on that? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Who are we missing? Did you get it, Glenn?
No,
I can't read that first
no,
one.
I haven't signed.
Is that Rod?
Motion to pay the general fund warrant, $597,741.64.
Sure.
Yeah, I had to look.
Second.
Bad handwriting.
Okay, motion by Jeff, seconded by Rod for the general fund warrant.
School payment in there and some other things.
Bond payment was in there.
I wasn't sure what the GMP thing was, but 10,000 to GMP.
Yeah, it seemed like a high
Electric
bill.
bill.
It
Greenmount
was
Power.
just the electric bill?
Yeah, it's electric bill.
Okay.
It did seem high though, but it was, top three.
It was bumped out, so I thought maybe it was a special.
Special bill.
Usually Jenny gives me a little heads up like that, if it's something that.
Alright, any questions on that? No, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Checkbook status, Jeff?
$283,335.10. Lots of threes.
And executive session, still a need for that?
Yes, sir.
Okay, is there a motion for that?
I'll make a motion to go into executive session pending civil litigation of 1 VSA 313A1.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
A motion by Glenn, seconded by Rod for an executive session for civil litigation. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Roads are